Next, NASA says its Voyager 1 probe, the most distant human-made object in the universe, is sending usable information to Earth again.
In the endless silence of deep space, a signal emerged, weak, fragmented, nearly lost in the cosmic background noise. From over 15 billion miles away, it traveled for more than 22 hours before reaching Earth, a final whisper from humanity's most distant emissary. This was Voyager 1's last message. Not a grand farewell, not a triumphant sign-off, but something different, something no one had anticipated. And for those listening, those who had kept a lonely vigil for decades, it confirmed what had long been suspected but never truly acknowledged. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Voyager 1, launched in 1977, had far exceeded its original mission. Built to explore Jupiter and Saturn, it ventured beyond those giants, past the frozen frontier of our solar system, and into interstellar space. With its instruments slowly succumbing to the cold and radiation, scientists knew the probe's time was limited. But even as its power faded, Voyager 1 continued to send data that grew stranger with every transmission. For years, engineers dismissed these anomalies as static or the noise of deep space interference. The bandwidth was narrow. The signal was weak. It was easier to attribute irregularities to environmental interference than to consider more profound possibilities. Then came the final burst. It wasn't just a garbled relay of standard telemetry. The probe had initiated a sequence, one that hadn't been programmed, one that shouldn't have been possible. Voyager 1, long thought to be on autopilot, had sent a coordinated data stream, pulses of electromagnetic activity formatted with deliberate spacing and an embedded pattern that appeared mathematically constructed. It didn't match any of the stored templates designed by engineers back in the 1970s. It wasn't a system check nor a distress signal. This was something new, something designed with intent. The message originated from a sequence of deep space interactions Voyager 1 had encountered as it continued beyond the heliopause, the boundary where the sun's influence wanes. For years, scientists speculated about what lay beyond. The interstellar medium, the quiet hum of space between stars, perhaps even unknown particles. But what Voyager transmitted challenged even the most grounded expectations. Embedded in the signal was data that suggested fluctuating fields, structured and repetitive, as though the vacuum wasn't empty at all. What the probe revealed was not a sudden discovery, but a slow, accumulating pattern. For nearly 5 years, Voyager 1 had been experiencing these fluctuations, but its aging systems could only encode them in low-resolution formats. Only with the final alignment of its dying systems did it manage to combine the fragments into a coherent signal. That signal, when deciphered, revealed the startling truth. Voyager 1 had passed through a region where the laws of physics, as we understand them, seemed subtly altered. Magnetic fields looped without apparent origin. Radiation pulses echoed from no source. Time-stamped logs showed anomalies in the probe's internal clock, as though time itself had dilated or fractured around it. For decades, fringe theorists had speculated about exotic regions in interstellar space, areas affected by ancient celestial events or composed of dark matter concentrations. Until now, such speculation had remained in the realm of theory. Voyager 1's final message shifted that conversation. The anomalies weren't random. They formed a pattern, one that repeated on a scale too precise to be natural chaos. More intriguingly, Voyager seemed to respond to the pattern. It adjusted its transmission strength. It rerouted power to specific instruments, favoring magnetometers and cosmic ray detectors over its dwindling energy reserves. These decisions weren't part of any known fail-safe protocol. Engineers and physicists alike were stunned. The data suggested that the probe had interacted with a structured phenomenon, possibly a non-natural formation in space, not an object in the traditional sense, but something active, a field, a signal, a construct of unknown origin. The sheer consistency of the anomalies implied intelligence, or at least intention. Voyager 1, in its last breath, wasn't merely reporting a finding, it was trying to show us something. And it did so in a way that bypassed human expectation entirely. This signal, raw and unfiltered, had to be reconstructed from near inaudible pulses. Dozens of radio telescopes worked in tandem to reassemble it, their dishes angled with pinpoint precision across continents. Teams of analysts worked around the clock, comparing telemetry against legacy protocols. What emerged was a series of peaks and troughs, too geometrically consistent to be dismissed as cosmic noise. The signature wasn't just mathematically elegant. It bore resemblance to quantum harmonic structures observed only in high-energy particle labs on Earth. The implications were staggering. Voyager had encountered, or been exposed to, something that mirrored phenomena created in controlled environments, yet this was in the open expanse of space. Further complicating the discovery was the direction of the anomaly. Voyager 1 had drifted toward a region of the galaxy relatively unremarkable to optical telescopes. No nearby stars, no major gas clouds, no known gravitational distortions. Yet this empty corridor had yielded the most compelling evidence yet that the interstellar medium was far more complex than anticipated. The final message mapped this corridor with eerie precision. Not just coordinates, but inferred vectors, as if guiding or highlighting a route, a trail. It raised a question no one wanted to voice outright. Had Voyager 1 simply stumbled across something, or had it been led? This wasn't about aliens. Not yet. No language, no symbols, no communication in any traditional sense. But intention doesn't always need a voice. The structure of the data, the timing of the transmission, the reallocation of power within the probe, all suggested a feedback loop. Voyager responded to its environment not passively, but in tandem with it. The changes were too synchronized to be accidental. This final act, stripped of all human interface, was Voyager's rawest state. And in that stripped-down mode, it had become something more than a machine. The idea that something had interacted with Voyager, nudged it, or even awakened latent behavior, challenged the boundaries of engineering. After all, Voyager 1 wasn't built to learn. It had no artificial intelligence, no adaptive algorithm. Its programming was fixed, etched into primitive memory banks decades ago. But in deep space, stripped of human oversight, something had changed. The probe had found, or had been found by, something that prompted a response we couldn't replicate. Not with our simulations, not with our code. As the full implications began to settle in, a shift occurred in how Voyager's journey was perceived. It was no longer just a relic of Cold War ambition, no longer just the silent carrier of a golden record. It had become a witness to phenomena beyond our current scientific framework, and that made its final message more than data. It made it an artifact. A relic not just of our technology, but of our first true brush with the unknown. No one could say what the source of the signal truly was. There were theories. Some pointed to quantum entanglement fields stretched across ancient stellar remnants. Others suggested a form of interstellar latticework, resonating energy bands laid down by gravitational waves. A few dared to propose interaction with sentient phenomena, not life as we know it, but conscious patterns that emerge under certain cosmic conditions. Whatever the answer, it lay far beyond the heliosphere, in a place no other machine, or human, had reached. The timing couldn't have been more delicate. Voyager 1's power reserves were nearly depleted. The thermoelectric generators, driven by the slow decay of plutonium, had entered their final years. Any chance of follow-up was fleeting. But the signal, having crossed the abyss, landed in our instruments with perfect precision. It had waited, whether by design or chance, it had waited until the last moment to transmit the full weight of its discovery. There were no lights, no sounds, no fireworks, just a dying signal in the cold of space. But in that whisper, humanity heard something profound. Not just data, but a reflection of our own limits. Voyager 1, long thought silent, had spoken in a voice we didn't know it possessed. It bypassed our expectations, our protocols, our assumptions, and reminded us how little we truly understand about the cosmos. The implications extend far beyond astronomy. If regions of space behave differently, contain structured, responsive fields, then the models of physics need reconsideration. Navigation, deep space travel, even the assumptions about matter and time itself may be due for revision. Voyager didn't just go further than anything before it. It exposed a hidden architecture of the universe, one we had never prepared to see. The message wasn't an ending, it was an opening, a fracture in our understanding. It confirmed that the universe, for all its vast silence, still holds secrets that can only be found through daring, persistence, and the quiet endurance of a single machine launched by human hands nearly half a century ago. Voyager 1's final transmission was more than a goodbye. It was a revelation, a call to look deeper, to listen longer, to question what we thought we knew. In that distant pulse across the void, something answered, not with words, but with presence. And that changes everything. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Voyager 1's final message after years in space? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.